Our next teller is Susan Warner. She is an actress and a singer as well as a storyteller from Parksville. She has a particular interest in personal stories and is the curator and organizer of The Slice of Life, Real People, Real Stories, a storytelling series at the McMillan Arts Center in Parksville. These alternate on the fourth Friday of the month with the Tales for the Telling concert series that she and Marva coordinate.
Age 15 and 16 was a year of things falling apart. My father had just been awarded a sabbatical at Scripps Oceanographic Institute in La Jolla, California. So all five of us stuffed ourselves into our station wagon and barely endured what was a seemingly never-ending trip from Maryland to California. Oh, we weren't in great shape as a family even before that trip started, but several times while we were on the road, my dad would abruptly pull over, stop the car, all four doors would open up, and all five people would storm off in 5 different directions. Well, amazingly, we did survive that trip, but just by the skin of our teeth, and things went quickly downhill soon after. Let's see, that year in La Jolla in review, the highs and the lows. I ran away from home. I was returned home. I got into therapy. I learned to drive. I fell in love with the ocean. But by the end of that year, our family was in such dysfunctional disarray that we all returned back home to Maryland in 5 separate ways. Oh, and shortly after returning, my parents announced that they were separating. And, well, my response? Well, it's about time. Yeah, it was a pretty typical way for Susan to respond. Blunt, direct, angry. I was always the one in the family that would point out, often with cruel specificity, the ways in which we, and by we, I suppose I really mean they, were deficient. I look back now on my years as an adolescent, and I wonder how they would describe me. A firecracker? No, that sounds too much like praise. More like TNT with a very short fuse. As a younger child, I was actually quite sensitive and insecure, anxious, often quite tearful. But by the time I reached my adolescent years, all of those traits were channeled into one emotion and one emotion only: anger. Oh, my meltdowns were full Mount Vesuvius, red-hot lava flow. No property damage or physical violence, well, except between my sibs and me sometimes. Just hot air and vicious verbal vitriol. Well, until one day. But that was an accident, I swear. Oh, the accident I'm referring to occurred, maybe about a month after my dad has moved out of the house. So it started like a normal day. I wake up in a bad mood, storm through the house, get into a screaming battle with my mom, who flees sobbing to her bedroom, slamming her door. Nothing special. Jam my arms into my jeans jacket, light up a cigarette, throw the match away in the garbage bin, and out the door I head to spend the day doing things my parents probably wouldn't want to know about, with friends they probably wouldn't want to know. And now this next part, well, I wasn't there for it, but this is how the story has unfolded over the years. So while this fracas was occurring between my mom and me, my brother, about 10, Ben, was building with Lego in the living room, and he had just witnessed me slamming out of the house. And now, well, except for the sound of my mom upstairs in her bedroom sobbing on the phone to somebody, all was quiet again. Just another day. So Ben resumes playing with his Lego for a few minutes, but then he goes into the kitchen to see if he can find something to snack on. And when he gets there, he sees there's some smoke coming out of the garbage bin. So he goes upstairs to report this to Mom. He pushes open the bedroom door. He can see she's still on the phone. Mom? No response. No eye contact. She just keeps on talking. Mom? a little louder this time. Mom's hand shoots out to shush him. She is on the phone and not to be disturbed. So Ben stands in the doorway for a couple more seconds and then goes back downstairs. When he goes back into the kitchen, well, now there's some quite thick smoke and the beginnings of flames he can see just beginning to lick over the top of the garbage bin lid. So he goes back upstairs. She's still on the phone. Mom? A little more intense, a little more volume. I'm on the phone, Ben! She shoots him a furious look and turns her back on the door. But Mom! Oh, Ben! Please! Stop interrupting me! Please leave me alone! So Ben, dutifully, leaves again, goes back to the kitchen. Well, now, the garbage bin is fully ablaze and the flames are practically licking the ceiling. So he goes back upstairs to beard the lion in her den. She's still on the phone. Mom! More intensity, more volume. Oh, for God's sake, Ben! She puts her hand over the receiver. Please, can't I just have one uninterrupted phone call? What is it? The garbage bin is on fire. What? The garbage bin is on fire. What? So, many hours later, I return home. After doing what these things that my parents probably wouldn't have wanted to know about with friends they probably wouldn't have wanted to know, I push open the front door and the first thing I notice is this horrible, acrid odor that permeates the whole house. It stings my eyes and hurts my throat. That's how bad it is. What's that awful smell? I yell. And my mother appears in the doorway. Why don't you come into the kitchen and see, she says. Her voice sharp, kind of tense, tight, and she looks sort of furious. So I scornfully brush past her and go into the kitchen. There's a lot of water all over the floor. It's like a lake almost, and there's this scorched mark in the ceiling, and then in the corner, where the garbage bin used to be, there's this black plastic tiny lump. What happened? My God! The shock knocks the anger right out of me. And so my mother explains, in short, sharp spurts, exactly what has happened. That my unextinguished match has nearly burnt down the house. Oops. There's a heavy stone, an untiable knot in my stomach, and for once, I feel so terrible I have nothing to say. And even I can understand that this little black lump is a literal example of the consequences of my meltdowns. My punishment? Well, I have to clean up the mess in the kitchen, and I have to buy a new garbage bin, and I have to repaint the ceiling. All of which I do without complaint because, well, actually, it seems quite fair to me. And I'm not a malicious child, I'm just sort of sad, angry, lost, and careless. So it takes me a few more hard knock years to really start to learn how to manage my emotions. But I do learn a couple of things right away. Number one, where there is smoke, there's a good chance of fire. And number two, always fully blow out all your matches and check them before throwing them away. And that lesson has been indelibly stamped onto my mind even today. And though sometimes I can still be a bit hot-headed and, well, a bit careless. I mean, for example, I leave burners on, and well, I have burnt a few pots, kettles dry, and I did light my scarf on fire once while I was wearing it. But I have never, never, never again set the garbage on fire.
Thank you, Susan. Sometimes the stories we tell of our family disasters are a lot more entertaining the longer it is since they happened.